Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Tonight, we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up.
Hello, everyone. Happy shit. Is it Thursday already? What is going on with time? My goodness. I am joined by the one and only Lady of Harlots.
Yes, I'm officially nicknamed Harlot, apparently. Thanks, Mark.
The Harlot. Yes, you could thank Mark Reed for that one.
Oh, I love that. It made me laugh so hard when he did that. That's awesome. And Diva Outcast is also Diva, so.
I mean, that just kind of goes without saying, though. You don't need to, it's just kind of there. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're starting a little early today because our friends over in the land of the damned had to go. Something about the sun getting in, which I know they don't like in the pits of the damned. It's what can you do? But the good news is we get to continue Atheist Advent. We're day 4. That means we get to do some more random geology with our handy dandy. We have a cute little Advent calendar. I get over it. I haven't had one since I was like tiny, and the boxes all had chocolate in them. But now we're getting geology. Haha. So today we got one of these, which I'm gonna venture a guess, and I'll be wrong. It's gray agate. Apparently, which is the only one on the list that's transparent. So yeah, apparently that's gray agate, or I'm silly, possibly both. It is I can't pronounce this word, Chalcedony, Chalcedony, one of those. It's a stone with a translucent gray hue that originates from volcanic rock. So it's more volcanism. So clearly we have to blame the Greek gods for that one. Do be sure to join us every day leading up to the winter holiday, because we're doing the Advent calendar every day, but we're also doing Advent properly, because every single day we have a Bible quote to reflect on. Today, it's sow your seeds, because as we've been building up the various secular achievements and knowledges that our ancestors have helped develop over the many centuries, bringing us to the wonderful world we have today, we're reflecting on the milestones, the achievements, the sciences. And to build any civilization, humans needed to secure food. We've become so good at that, though, we're losing biodiversity. So today we're going to learn about agriculture and ecology. I know, a thrilling topic, but considering this is where our food comes from, we all love food.
Oh,
we even have merch
Especially
about
garbage.
food. like this. Oh, where's the button? I have so many buttons in so many places. Touch the button. That is a thing that's available on the Better Than Ember store. The garlic bread shirt. It says, if you want to have a good time, because some of us we're not big fans. I don't even know if y'all can hear me when I'm off screen like that. I imagine you can, because it doesn't say I'm muted, but I don't know. You know. But we also have Puppy.
Yeah, she's made a snuggle bug today. I don't know what's up with her, but she's like, I'm going to sit in your lap and you're going to like it. I'm like, okay.
You shall not stop me. Also, one additional note, because we did a bonus show last night and people obliterated the goals on that one. So we're doing a bonus show tonight. It's going to be a Q&A, AMA, well, AM almost A. There's some things I'm not going to answer, but you can ask. You can ask anything. I just may not answer certain things.
I gave you like the geekiest one ever.
We'll see. I do have a bunch of questions. We have enough to produce the show with that I've harvested from various parts of the interwebs. But if you want to ask a question specifically to get your question answered, you can do that. You can drop me a line in a whole bunch of ways. I suggest using the community Discord, because there's a channel specifically for it that I will be checking before and during the show. So if you have a question, go to the website, betterthanember.com, join the Discord. The link is there. And drop a question in the channel labeled questions. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. And I noticed a bunch of people are finding the website for the first time. Equus says, holy shit, you've got a ton of resources and your list of creators is like triple the size I imagined. Yeah, go look at the damn website. I'm not kidding when I tell you the resources awesome. There for you. I'm not just blowing time out of my behind building this thing and constantly updating this thing just for my benefit. My goodness. I could just, save bookmarks if it were just for me. Adrian says, good morning. Hey, starting now at 8 a.m. my time. Well, it's 7:40, just so you know. We're slightly early because Chris had solar people coming, which by itself isn't an issue, but the 5 dogs had strong opinions, and that made it impossible for him to continue. So he had to drop out early, and when I can, I like to start early so that there's continuity for the audience. They don't have to wait around for 20 minutes or whatever. And I'm constantly warning my own people that my shows start unpredictably sometimes, so make sure the notification bell is rung. I mean, subscribing is great. Definitely hit the subscribe. If you're watching in the future, hit the subscribe. We'd love to see you in a live chat. But hit the notification bell too, because sometimes shows happen by surprise. Yeah. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot of comments. I cannot keep up. I will add them to the screen, but I cannot keep up. which
There
is
are
a
a
good
lot.
problem to have, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, folks. So the science of the day, agriculture and ecology. We've talked a little bit about the origins of agriculture in our evolution episode a couple of days ago, when humans first figured out that you could select for inheritable characteristics at the beginning of the agricultural revolution. Volcanoes aren't real. It's when Jesus sneezes. You know, there are mythologies that hold that belief. For example, the Haudenosaunee people and their legend of the Sky Woman. They talk about her two sons, the one sapling who creates things, and then the corrupt one, Flint, who twists things to evil. He eventually got driven into the underworld, and periodically he throws fits and he rants and rampages and blows shit up in the underworld. And when he blows enough shit up, it causes a volcano to go off. So that kind of is a thing. Like it's the magic spirits being angry in their underground prison kind of thing.
Maybe.
You can't prove it isn't.
Yeah.
That's how we do science, right?
Yeah. You can't prove mermaids don't exist.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so agriculture. The origins of agriculture, active production of useful plants or animals in ecosystems. That's a new term. That's something from the 20th century, but we're looking at it through today's lens. The active production of useful plants or animals in ecosystems that have been created by people, human-caused ecosystems. Agriculture has often been conceptualized narrowly in terms of specific combinations of activities and organisms. Wet rice production in Asia, wheat farming in Europe, cattle ranching in the Americas, so on like this. But a more holistic perspective holds that humans are environmental engineers who disrupt terrestrial habitats in specific ways. Oh, goodness. Now, I should say, by way of introduction, that much like yesterday's subject, this is not in my field of expertise. I have some knowledge about these things, but I'm not an expert in these things. So, like many cases, when we don't know a thing well enough to speak as an expert on it, we go to the encyclopedia. So we are once again in Encyclopedia Britannica, just so everybody knows what the fuck we're doing here. Okay. Anthropogenic disruptions, such as clearing vegetation or tilling the soil, cause a variety of localized changes. Common effects include an increase in the amount of light reaching ground level and a reduction in competition among organisms. Loss of biodiversity. As a result, an area may produce more of the plants or animals that people desire for food, technology, medicine, and other uses. But it stops producing the things that it was producing. And that can be a problem. Over time, some plants and animals have become domesticated or dependent on these and other human interventions for their long-term propagation or survival. Domestication is a biological process in which, under human selection, not always directed human selection, but selection pressures caused intentionally or unintentionally by the presence of humans, adapting to environment. That's what every organism does. Organisms develop characteristics that increase their utility, as when plants provide larger seeds, fruits, or tubers than their wild progenitors. Known as cultigens, domesticated plants come from a wide range of families, which are groups of closely related genera that share a common ancestor. I mean, technically, everything shares a common ancestor, but a closer common ancestor. The grass, the bean, the nightshade, or the potato. You know, yesterday I learned that tobacco is a flavor of nightshade. It's a member of the nightshade family. Yeah. Did not know that. And of course, potatoes. My goodness. I can't imagine the world without potatoes.
Oh, potatoes are awesome.
I mean, as all the world knows, I'm half Irish. I'm wearing green today, not because I'm half Irish or love potatoes, but because we're talking about agriculture and ecology. I'm like, ember's gonna be green. Why not? It'll be fine. But I am half Irish, And
Mhm.
I cannot imagine a world without potatoes. What in blazes? We've heard about the Irish potato famine. There were two of them, in
Mhm.
fact. But what did the Irish do before there were potatoes? It turns out sadness and whiskey, pretty much.
Mhm.
Cabbages. It was
There's
mostly
a lot of cabbage. Yeah.
cabbages. Ah, I could not live in the past. Not a chance. That's true in more ways than one, but that's different. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. Where the hell was I? Right. Potatoes, cultigens. Families have produced a disproportionately large number of cultigens because they have characteristics that are particularly amenable to domestication. This is sort of like the parable of the mustard, the wild mustard. It became not only modern mustard, but kale and broccoli and lettuce and asparagus and a bunch of other things because it had so many different characteristics that were useful, and each of them could be focused on for selective breeding. And so we get such wildly different plants that are all technically the same plant. Potatoes are less useful, but still pretty damn useful.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
I've
potatoes.
actually got a list of from the wild mustard. We got kohlrabi, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and cauliflower. And I know there are several others too. All for the
Cauliflower is
same
so
damn thing.
weird. It's like albino broccoli.
Yeah, but it's all
I
for the
don't know
same damn
why.
plant.
It's good. It's goodness.
Hmm.
Oh, what do we do?
I do like
I'm trying to
cabbage.
peek at the chat. Chocolate flavored Sinfest. What the hell are you all up to?
She's eating a giant chocolate muffin, and I said it was no fair
Ooh, that's
because I
just
want a giant
rude.
chocolate muffin really bad. I want chocolate right now really bad. Damn it! I always get hungry on this show. Damn it!
I don't know why y'all keep blaming me. Just because I'm a tasty snack doesn't mean there has to be food talk all around all the time.
D-Man said she would love to join if you allow it. I'll send her the link real quick.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Yeah. So Deviant, if you don't know, is a Swedish Egyptologist, but also knows some surprising things about many other things. So we'll see how that goes. Perhaps we'll learn about muffins anyhow. Let's see. So ecology, yes. There's a lot that could be said, but oh, damn it, Soot. Blame the chocolate muffin on me. I gave it to her.
There, you give her one and not send me one. I want one so bad now.
I know. We need a fax machine or a teleporter or something along those lines.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do after this though. I'm gonna go get a chocolate malt from like the best malt place ever. That is right down the street from me. That's what I'm gonna do.
Hooray. Okay. Let's jump into ecosystems, because that's a new term for a concept we've had for a very long time. The complex of living ecosystems, the physical environment, and the interrelationships in a particular unit of space. And this can be, everything from the whole planet and the biosphere all the way down to like that drop of pond water you put under a microscope in 7th grade science class. Whatever, an isolated system. No system is completely isolated. There's exchange with the surrounding systems, but that drop of pond water, it's going to have a very limited exchange with the atmosphere around it, So they're semi-isolated. A farm field is less isolated from the surrounding forests, but they are still different ecosystems interacting along a boundary. So an ecosystem can be categorized into its abiotic constituents. This is a part that people commonly overlook because it's not just the plants and critters and shit. There's also the minerals, the climate, the soil, the water, the sunlight, all the other non-living stuff, the temperature. Its biotic constituents consist of the living members, linking these constituents together two major forces: the flow of energy through the ecosystem and the cycling of nutrients within the ecosystem. Now, it's also important to note, nutrients don't necessarily stay within an ecosystem, nor does the energy. Like if you've got a field of crops and bunnies live there and the bunnies are feeding off the crops, that's part of the ecosystem. But the bunnies may go outside of the farm field and get eaten by a coyote. So sometimes the nutrients and the energy leave the ecosystem. But the other way around is true. Like a deer from the forest might come into the field to snack a little and leave some poop and deposit some nutrients that weren't there before. So there's exchange, there's interaction and interrelation, and sometimes deviance. Mwahaha. So now I've got both harlot and the diva. What could possibly go wrong? Deviant
I'm
diva.
confused.
Oh, there she is.
Everything.
I actually, I will admit I might have a bit too many tabs open at the same time.
It's been known to happen.
Yes, especially since I also, what's the word? I just learned that in one tab I can have two tabs in that one tab. Then it's multi-layered.
The new split tab thing in Chrome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can. It's I don't know if it's limited to two. I haven't really tried it very much because it actually seems to use more memory than keeping the two tabs on separate tabs. It's just a convenience thing. And it isn't.
Yeah.
It feels almost like a gimmick because having multiple windows open was the point of Windows, right? Like you can open a tab and put it up in this corner and then another tab and put it in this corner so they don't even overlap. Like that's a trick we could already do. It's just now they're technically in the same tabs. I don't know. Maybe it has its uses. We can now have 8 total windows or something if your CPU can keep up. It's an adventure. All right. So what are your thoughts on agriculture, ecology, the advancement of the sciences to study these things, human impact, any of those things?
The human impact of studying those things. So I will say this to tiny things. I'm not just an Egyptologist, I'm also an archaeologist. So I know I never focused on like Neolithicum, but of course that's part of what I have studied. So the how agriculture came about and a bit about the mythology that we can see is connected to agriculture and so forth. And I've also worked as a research assistant with a company that treats seed to hinder diseases in those seed using a completely ecological, that's not you say, organic method. So no shit, no oh my goodness, why can I come up with the most simple words?
Words are hard, especially English. I mean, shit is one of the few things that is definitely organic.
That's true. That's true. Not poison, but the like harmful chemicals are being used.
Well, artificial chemicals. Harmful, it depends on which outcome you're prioritizing. But some of the helpful chemicals, like liquid fertilizers, are still not welcome in the organic farming industry. Just such a weird term, but whatever.
Yeah, no, because there has been a shift in the last like 15 to 20 years, especially here in Europe. But I happen to know because the method that so my job as a research assistant was to calibrate a test machine, because each seed, each type of seed, let's say carrots, are not to be treated the same way as lettuce, for instance. And each crop that you have taken seeds from also needs its variation in the treatment. So my job was to calibrate the machine's recipe, how to treat the seeds. And the method it was invented here in Sweden, actually by one of my best friends' dad was the guy who came up with it, which is why I came to work there, even though I know nothing about it. But we also sold the method to the US. There is a facility in Texas, actually, that uses this technique or technology. But because of how, if you use regular non-organic methods, the pesticides, that's what I was
okay.
searching
there's
for
so many
before.
possible isides, there's
Yeah.
herbicides, there's insecticides, there's humanicides, but we don't talk about those.
And genocides.
Yeah.
But they are so harmful that if a farmer drops a single seed on the ground of at his farmyard where it's not supposed to be, the entire, like, an area of over, so the equivalent of 2 meters, what's that, 6 foot, give or take, 6-7 foot in diameter, needs to be sanitized.
Did you just 6-7 us?
I did.
How dare you come on? I see you demon.
No, but when we go back in time, it's very interesting, because usually we see if you ask a layman or the regular person on the street about the shift from hunter-gatherer to settlers, that's what we think of as the beginning of civilization. That's the beginning of farming, and we oftentimes see it as a very sharp sharp border between the two, which of course is not
advancement, like
exactly
skyrocket immediately after. We go from leaving random traces like a sharp rock here or there to suddenly houses and ditches and graves and pottery, and like all of a sudden all the evidence of civilization starts to appear virtually overnight. It's like because when agriculture spread, that isn't just agriculture, it's also the wave of technology that comes along with it. Like the first people who got it really under control started developing really fast, but everything they came up with spread along with the seeds that enabled other settlements to happen. So when people got seeds in farther out reaches, they got the seeds and they got the shovels and they got the clay making, and so all of it just appears at once.
Yeah, because if you think about it, what happens when we say hunter gatherers, we shouldn't think of people just walking aimlessly. Oftentimes, we kept to certain areas and we moved with the season. It wasn't like we go to one place the one day, we sleep, and the next day we fuck off and go to another place. As long as we just walking. That's not
Everyone
the
was
case.
super in shape all the time.
Well, that they were, but also we didn't stay in a single place long enough to build proper houses. And not just that, but we also didn't collect goods. We created what we could carry with us. So status symbols and the accumulation of wealth wasn't there because it didn't have a value, and the lifestyle didn't accommodate to have a bunch of fine gold or just things that didn't really have any other purpose than to just, I have it because I can.
Right. Shiny rocks
So
don't help you very much. They just weigh you down.
exactly, it will only hold you back. So when we become settled, which is not that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a long drawn out process, of course, and in periods we go back, and then we become more and more semi-settled, and eventually everyone is settled, and that's the way to do things. But it also means that the accumulation of wealth, the capacity for us to accumulate wealth for certain people to be able to, that also creates this stratification of society where some people have more and others have less. And also, as long as we're not settled, back in the day, we used to think that while we were hunter-gatherers, people just worked and worked and worked and worked, and we were basically starving all the time. But that's not the case.
Yes, surviving, like managing to not die versus beginning to have a reserve, because everybody at the time knew the constant threat of starvation. I mean, hell, it still looms over us. Everybody keeps saying that we're like 3 meals away from a revolution or something, and that to a greater or lesser extent, that's kind of true. But back then, they were literally on the cusp of starvation all the time. And so saying, hey, you can not do that all the time. You can save some up. You can have a reserve. You can not. I'll put it in slightly different terms. Daniel Quinn, who's an author as well as a philosopher, proposed the idea that humans arose considering themselves to be in the hands of the gods. Whether we live or die depends on the whim of the gods. Whether they bring us a deer or an ibex, depending on where we lived, we can take down and then we eat that night. Or if we come across tubers that we can dig up and eat, then we eat that night. But if we don't, if the gods don't will it, then we don't. Agriculture was taking that from the gods and seizing that power, that knowledge for ourselves. No longer are we subject to the whims of the gods. We can control our own food supply and make sure we live tomorrow.
Well, I actually object to that, because when we walked around, before we became settled, and let's see, Hypatia Stanhope said something in the chat that I tried to say earlier, but she really, or they really expressed it in a good way. Wait. She loved tomatoes. People did circle back to used hunting camps, but as said, quickly moved on. First was seasonal camps, exactly. But so while before we became settled, we didn't invest in one small geographical area. If the weather changed, the hunting and the flora and fauna was no longer favorable, we moved on. But when we then settled, we became much more vulnerable to the changes in weather. Because you can't just start walking to a different area when if there is a what's the word, missväxt,
a drought, a blizzard.
a drought. The crops won't grow, or it rains too much and everything goes to hell. So, which of course was something that we countered by starting to store, put things aside, which in and of itself also created this: some people have a lot and others have less. And so there are so many parts in this, because before we settled, we didn't have as many children as we did once we settled, because while walking around, you could only have basically one or maybe two at most children under the age of them being able to walk long stretches by themselves.
Oh yeah, get heavy real fucking quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Holy shit. But that makes me wonder about an interesting intersection. Humans, unlike many other species, don't really have a mating season. We're capable of conceiving all year round. So why, if our evolutionary pattern of developing, how to hunt and gather and survive, if evolutionary pressures pushed us into that kind of mobility as a general rule, why is it our ability to conceive isn't built into that seasonal pattern the way it is with so many other species? Or perhaps it goes the other way, and even though it's only been a few thousand years, our ability to conceive has expanded with our ability to not have to move constantly. Maybe we used to have a mating season, but because it's been thousands of years, more deviance in that schedule has been tolerated, because there's no reason it should be restricted to just the spring, for example. So
evolution is a very, very slow process, as we know.
Often, but not always.
Not always, that is true. But I think there are multiple things that play into this, because in one way, it is more favorable for us not to have specific mating seasons, because the not digestion time. Digestion is something else. Don't eat babies. Whether you like them or not, don't eat babies.
Tasty deviant.
I know, but they're so fattening.
Oh my goodness, that must be my problem.
Because the what's the word? The incubation, the period of time that you are pregnant is very long in humans. And it's also true that women, and we see this still to this day, women who live in close proximity, thank you, to each other, or just hang out a lot, their cycles sync up. It's also true that if we don't eat enough, the cycle is disrupted.
Yeah.
I've heard of that happening, but I've also heard that that's a myth because it doesn't always happen. So I've had
it happen to me. So, like me and one of my friends, when we lived together, it happened. So I don't know.
I think there's underlying causes, like we don't know what causes the movement of a cycle necessarily, and there may be other things that sometimes cause people's cycles to sync up, not just proximity, but other times when that underlying element is absent, then they won't, or they'll start syncing and they'll diverge, or who the fuck knows what.
Exactly. I mean, there are many things that can disrupt a cycle. So if one person has something that disrupts their cycle, they are less likely to actually sync up. But the syncing up is still one part of our biology. I'm trying to find the right words. So it's very interesting because when we become settled, that's when we really start to become the leeches on the environment that we are now. There is no human animal, no animal that affects the environment around us as much as we do. And this is, I mean, today it's obvious. Well, the freaking nuclear bomb is obvious.
In some very noticeable ways, yes, but in some other ways, remember, ancient Earth had an orange carbon and sulfur sky, and it was anaerobic bacteria working over something like 1 billion years that changed that turned it blue. Humans have fucked up our environment quite a lot, but we aren't even close to competing with turning the sky blue.
No, I mean, I'm rather, yeah, sure, that's true, but that's bacteria that we are talking
we do
about.
More than mammals, maybe even animals.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah. So, and I think I said animals, but of course, as with everything, there is always nuance. There is always nothing in a life, and nothing in reality is anything if not complex.
It's all interrelated, which is one of the fascinating things about ecology. Studies the interrelationships as well as the basic processes. But you know what else is fascinating? Jester sent us a super chat, and yes, Jester does a lot, and we very much appreciate him for that. Thank you, Jester. But what's interesting is what he chose to make the super chat about. Jester says, "What? Are we canceling the annual cannibal orgy? Come on, this is the 13,869,420th nice time in a row. We have a reputation to uphold." I mean, canceling it apparently is our reputation at this point. But thank you, Jester. And I also want to take this opportunity.
Jester.
I also want to take this opportunity to point out there's another very important factor to successful agriculture: water. Hey folks, I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic. Hell yeah. I had to get that in there somewhere. That seemed like that was I actually planned a transition this time. I just didn't know where I was going to stick it. It was, agriculture takes the water. Here we go. We got the thing, and ta-da, it's done. My goodness. But do remember, folks, we're doing Atheist Advent every weekday this month, leading up to the midwinter holiday, first day of winter, however you characterize it. And a few days after, we're going straight on to Saturnalia, Sol Invictus even. And we do have a bonus show this evening. So make sure you're not only subscribed, but have the bell turned on. Currently, the bonus show is set for 6 p.m., but as you know, the bonus shows are subject to change. It may go later. It may go earlier. Who's to say? So make sure you've got the bell turned on. Join us for that. If you have questions, you can just hit me up, however, but the best way is probably through the Discord, since there's specifically a channel for that. And I'll try to address all the questions that aren't obviously bad faith. And we'll see how that goes. Tomorrow, Feminist Friday. Feminism. Gender studies. Where the fuck did those come from? And what does our civilization gain from their presence? We're continuing on next week with logical and critical thinking, neuroscience and consciousness, the scientific method itself, and a whole bunch more. So make sure you join us. It's all the greatest accomplishments of the secular world, and I'm so excited to go through all of these. It's so cool. And I see Pragmatic Crystal dropping links like a champ, like a boss, like a benevolent angel from on high. Thank you, PC. Alrighty. Cool. Now, the downside of a break is I have to remember where the fuck we left off. So, Deviant, you were saying pesticide?
It started somewhere there. But we were talking about the impact that we have on the environment around us.
Ah, yes. We have nukes, and the bacteria don't.
Amongst other things. But I think that what I was saying was that when we started to settle and started to mind, what's the word? Intentionally. Intentionally change and oh my goodness, I read something in chat that had me, and now I'm a bit worried.
Is it Jester who sent us another super chat for $2? Thank you. And says the spirit of adventure goes forth. Avast. I dig it. I actually had in the notes for this show, the advent of agriculture is what made human civilization possible, but that was too punny even for me. It wasn't actually. There is no bar. There's no bar for puns I will not entertain. It's been tested. 3 years on YouTube. My tubiversary was 2 days ago.
Woohoo!
3 years. There is no pun I will not entertain. Apparently, we've discovered this. We still haven't found a god, but we have found the limit for my puns does not exist.
So Ekius in chat, who, unlike me, she's not just an archaeologist. She actually specializes in seeds. From an archaeologist,
nice.
like I don't remember what it's called, bio to something.
Hold on, I think she put something about that up here.
Yeah, and I'm trying.
Did I miss it?
She's been very
Archaeobotanist. Oh,
archaeobotanist. Yes.
oh, awesome. How did
So
I feel like someone just
I? Yeah. Huh.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I must have been on a different screen. I completely missed that
So
for some reason.
I hope I'm not stepping on. A, I hope I'm not stepping on her toes. B, I very much hope she's gonna correct me if I'm speaking gibberish.
Maybe you're speaking in tongues.
I am. Or I mean, I have a tongue, I think.
Speaking
Yeah,
with-
you can see it. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, I can see it. I'll go back.
No, I don't have one.
Folks, cheekbones block so much of your vision.
I know.
It's
And
wild. We don't even
also-
realize our cheekbones are there until we try to look and they're in the way. Our brains just block them out. But I digress. That's a complete tangent. Not related to anything.
Huh.
But yeah, we can learn a ton from the seeds because they show like wild seeds, for example. We'll look at ancient cloths and relics and whatnot, and the seeds that are in like the items, the jars, the burials, etc. They can tell us where the person was in a sort of forensic sort of way. Like we find a 5,000-year-old skeleton buried in what's modern Bavaria, but it's got seeds on it that show that that person, or at least the clothing they were buried in, came from Persia. And we're like, holy crap, I didn't realize they traveled that much 5,000 years ago, But also, in terms of agriculture, it can tell us so much about the development of agriculture,
Exactly. And when and where agriculture. So we like to make these like split marks, like bam, 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 chop up our history into well-defined chapters. Like we speak about the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Stone Age, the Middle Ages. But in reality, of course, that's just so that when we study these things and when we talk about these periods of time, have something to reference. It's like with ancient Egypt. We speak about the Old Kingdom, the first intermediate, Middle Kingdom, second, yada yada yada. Naturally, the ancient Egyptians they weren't talking about the Old Kingdom and the New Kingdom and the late era. That's modern Egyptology needing to put in these markers, and the same goes for agriculture. And we actually can see that by studying seeds, for instance, that while some parts, as I mentioned in the beginning, in some areas people did become settled and were settled for a period of time, but then something happened. I can't give an example because I don't know one on the top, off of the top of my head. Ecus certainly would. Yeah, I feel bad because I know she was a bit upset during the damn show because of the topic that was going on at the end of the show there.
Oh, before the solar people interrupted, there was some for anybody who didn't catch the damn show earlier, because it's not relevant to our show, but for context, continuity of the community, since we do immediately follow the damn show. A lot of people are in both communities and go from one to the other. They were talking about the Prophet of Islam and Aisha and a bunch of things along those lines. And sometimes those topics can be more than a little disturbing, because they usually come up when an apologist shows up and starts saying, oh, but raping children is good, actually, if it's for the glory of God. And that can be extremely upsetting to everyone who's ever been SA'd.
Yeah.
Or things like it's okay because according to our faith, the woman has to consent, and we're speaking about the 6-year-old child.
It's a child, like, full stop.
And yeah, I really hope she's okay. I see a lot of people saying in chat their love for her, and I can only agree. She's really cool. And also, I have very strong suspicions she might actually be my slightly older clone, or I'm her clone.
Did you leave a clone lying around somewhere, Deviant?
I did.
What haven't we talked about this before?
I know, and I should make a registry, and I should get it organized, but I've been moving and stuff happened, and there were probably a hurricane also, maybe in the seed bank.
The seeds do get away from you, don't they?
They do.
Speaking of people getting away, because this is the best transition I could think of while it's still on my screen, Kelly King sends us a $5 super chat. Thank you, Kelly. And says, so when I don't come on, there's a party. I see how it is now. I mean, technically, it's only a threesome, because this fourth window is just an encyclopedia. So.
No, I think people are waiting for me to say something about Kip so it can get clipped again, like the eat sticks comment. Last time Deviant was on, that's what got clipped, and now it's become a thing.
Okay, so we're expecting Kip sticks,
we're expecting Kip to do something. Me make a comment, and then it gets clipped.
You know, I hadn't seen human-shaped Kip in a while. He turned up on the Humanity last night, which, for those of you who don't know, it's Matt and Tommy, couple autistic counter-apologists, make fun of very stupid apologetics videos and drink while they're at it. What could possibly go wrong? And it's just kind of silly fun when I'm in late night mode. Like, I'm often doing my exercise, especially now that it's cold and I have to use the treadmill. I feel like such a freaking domesticated pet. I have a fucking treadmill. Anyway, I guess I'm my own pet because nobody else is keeping me. But anyway, Kip was in their chat talking about some keeping an eye out for some horrible Egyptologist, he said, at the Boston Bible People convention that he just went to.
What?
But apparently that person was banned. I don't
Yeah.
know what's up with that. But the point is, Dr. Kip,
I wanna
human
know
shape,
why he was banned.
is still around.
I know who he's talking about.
If you know the story behind that, send it to me on Discord because I want to know. I am
Mhm.
overly curious on what happened with him.
Well,
So
Kip was saying, so somehow Stephen Woodford came up because Matt and Tommy are as prone to tangents as I am. So somehow Stephen Woodford came up. And Kip mentioned that Stephen needs to do a story on Kip. And I said, well, you need to be more controversial, Kip. Like, for example, did you pick a fight with anyone while you were in Boston? And he said, no, I'm a lover, not a fighter. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. You need to be more controversial. You need to be either Charlie Kirk or the person who stands in Charlie Kirk's face and demolishes his arguments. You have to be one of those for Stephen to cover you, you know? But the point is not the drama about the Egyptologist. And that's why the Egyptologist came up. He said, well, I was looking for this guy, but he's been banned. I don't know. And I didn't pry because it's not my story. But the reason I mention it is because human shaped Kip is alive and well as of last night. So see.
Looks like I'm not the one who's going to get clipped.
Oh my. Yeah. So yes, you were leaving clones lying around, Deviant.
yeah, it's more since I'm slightly younger. I mean, we're talking about a couple of years. I'm likely to be her clone, but who's to say we're clones? Can you really see if both clones are grown up? Can you see? Maybe there is a third one.
It's been known to happen. I mean, I used to have a doppelganger running around the city I went to school in. There was one day in when I was in middle school, junior high, if you're in certain parts of the US, where I happened to be sick that day. And when I came in the next day, I was immediately sent to the principal's office. And according to both the vice principal and a whole bunch of witnesses, maybe as many as 500 witnesses, I was there that day and did some highly inappropriate things. I said, unless I was astral traveling, y'all are smoking something because I was homesick and I can prove it, you know? Like, what do you mean? So apparently we all have evil clones, possibly travelers from other dimensions who sometimes slip across to mess things up. I don't know, but it's not impossible. You can't prove it didn't happen.
Exactly. And I'm a strong believer in random wormholes opening up. Also possibly knyttfolk.
So my favorite conspiracy theory, at least at the moment, is that the Mandela effect is usually, but not always, caused by people misremembering. Sometimes it's caused by people from a different timeline who actually have a different memory because it actually was different in the world they came from. And they don't know they slipped into our universe, or maybe we slipped into theirs. Who's to say? And I have no reason to think so, but it's a fun idea.
Can you
If
say
you
that
found
again?
yourself in a different universe, depending, of course, on the qualities of that universe, do you think you would be happy, be relieved, or would you try to find your way back to the universe you know?
I think it would very much depend on if I even could tell that it was a different universe. I mean, if I were transported to a different universe where things were different from here, I would absolutely want to go back because there is one cuddle squirrel and only one. And I feel life without my cuddle squirrel would be quite miserable and pointless and very boring and not have enough cuddles and way too few squirrels.
You raise an interesting perspective, because I'd been thinking in terms of like the general shape of the world, like finding a universe where we weren't on a timeline where the most evil, incompetent people are in charge of the US government. If I could find one of those, that would be great. But now that you bring personal relationships into it, at what cost? Would I find a world
Exactly.
where I don't have my kids? Would I mean, you could erase the current administration, every member of it, from existence and put competent people in place, not even good people, just competent people in place. And it would make no difference to my 3 older kids. But without Trump, without this specific election cycle and all the hate that it bred, then I don't have autumn. And that gives me pause. Do I now need to be in favor of all this evil bullshit that's happened to others as well as myself so I can keep my fucking daughter? I don't like that.
I think that's part of the reason why when we start to think about it, it's kind of like all the shit that has happened in your life. You might want to have things been different. Your parents have been different. But if that were so, because you want to know, for myself, for instance, how would my life have been? What would I have achieved if it weren't for having this fucking baggage and the scars of my upbringing to deal with, that steals so much energy and fucks me up in so many ways? What could I then have accomplished that I haven't or can't now? Well, first of all, it's not much point in thinking about it. But also, if I didn't have those experiences, there are a bunch of people that I absolutely love and that enriches my life to an incredible degree that I would never have met. And I wouldn't be where I am now. And would I even have been better? Maybe I would have been an asshole. So I think the sad truth is that even though all of us wishes a universe where Trump just wasn't a thing.
It kind of ties us back to the idea of what is better, at what point, which value do we prioritize for determining what is better? Like, would the world have been better if there was never a nuclear bomb?
Right.
Maybe in some ways, maybe not in others. You know, I mean, would we end up with something like The Man in the High Castle, where Germany and Japan have split the rest of the world between them, if there wasn't a nuclear bomb to stop Japan? I don't know, but like, what is better? And we also need the counterfactual for the other outcome if we make that change. But a lot of these possible changes, they would either erase us from existence ourselves. So is it better for me, or is it better on this more objective scale? Or it would produce different versions of us, and maybe they're happier, but we don't know. So that's sort of the time traveler's dilemma, is if you could go back and change something, are you going to risk yourself being different or your own non-existence? Does this change matter so much to you that you're risking not existing? in order to do it. I don't know. Zork makes a fair point. We didn't need a nuclear bomb to stop Japan. That's true.
We didn't.
We would have won at that point. Victory was inevitable. It was just a matter of how many people died first. And I've actually debated on this. As many of you know, I used to be like not a pro debater because I never got paid for it, but like a pro as in not amateur kind of thing. And I've debated on this side of things. So I've looked up the data, I've done the research, I've handled the arguments. While it's probably true that more people total would have died without the use of the nuclear weapons, the fact that the nukes targeted civilians instead of military service members makes it still not okay in some very important ways, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and
you can't go blowing up whole
one fact
cities.
about that a lot of people... Yeah, one thing that a lot of people don't realize about it is like the firebombing of Tokyo actually killed more people because of all the incendiary bombs that were dropped during the firebombing of Tokyo killed more people. But it's still like, as far as the atomic bombs did, but I mean, it's one of those things, like, it was horrible no matter what we did. There's a lot of... Because of my field, we don't deal with the Pacific Theater all that much, but there's definitely a huge train of thought, especially in my field, that one of the reasons why we dropped it is because Truman wanted Stalin to know that we had it as well. That we had it and it was working. We only had enough to drop 2.
At the time, we were working on more, and we did build more, but we already had it, and that's such. It's so frustrating because, like, stories like The Man in the High Castle set up this: what if the world was Germany and Japan? But people are forgetting we're not juxtaposing that against the world of today. For its various pluses and minuses, we're juxtaposing that with the world of the 50s and 60s and 70s, where it was the US versus the USSR. Like, the world wasn't directly controlled in the same way that it was depicted in High Castle, but really, the USSR ran everything that wasn't directly or indirectly run by the US. There were a few neutral zones, different countries that managed to not be involved, but not really. Like, you know, there was NATO, there was the whole Vietnam War, the Korean War, the fall of China to Chairman Mao, all of that shit. It was part of that. We call it a Cold War because we weren't involved in the shooting, except in Korea and Vietnam, and never mind. But hundreds of millions of people died because of the political games between 2 economic systems, both with oligarchies at the top. Fuck. I am not saying the Nazis would have been better. They would have just straight up wiped out entire races of people. Not cool. But just because the Nazis were worse doesn't make what happened okay, you know?
Humans tend to screw everything up. We do. We
do, but this has been such a contention with me. I mean, between me and myself for most of my semi-sentient life. The truth that we have such capacity for care and betterment and curiosity and to create the most beautiful of things, and with things I of course include just human relationships, not just things. But at the same time, we can see throughout history that the bursts of technological advancement comes from mainly our will, our need to our perceived need, I should say,
Mhm.
to just kill and slay and murder
Yeah.
and chop up each other. For what? For a little bit of land. Just a
Mhm.
little bit. What?
That's yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I love I have a love-hate relationship with my field, because obviously, like, my field, we're dealing with one of the darkest periods of human history ever. But within that, you get these incredible stories of human perseverance and human survival and humans giving up everything to help somebody that they don't even know. And so you get the worst of humanity, but you also get to see the best of humanity too.
Well,
So,
that's an unfortunate consequence of agriculture, right? Because the
yeah,
fundamental element that makes
yeah,
agriculture different isn't the ability to control the evolution of the crops. We figured that out
No.
along the way, but that isn't what makes agriculture agriculture. What makes it agriculture, what makes it the root of all culture, is the idea of possession of land, the concept of property. And so humans, which had always had this tremendous capacity for helping each other, because we're a tribal society, that's how the tribe lives or dies, is if you help each other successfully. All of a sudden, there was an opportunity for parasites to start leeching off other people. I own the
Like
land.
Kent Hovind.
I feed the bodyguards who enforce my ownership of the land. They do my bidding because I'm the one who feeds them. And so you, if you want to live here, you have to be my serf. And we start to build an elite class of owners and rulers who are doing nothing useful except leeching off the people, except during this time of changeover from agriculture, from hunter gathering to agriculture to civilization, this intermediate period, which arguably we're still in many ways. Sometimes another warlord would want more land, specifically the tiny little patch of land that you happen to be living on. And now you need that warlord with his paid bodyguards to fend off the invaders. Or maybe it isn't a warlord. Maybe it's people who are still hunter gatherers and they're raiders. They're coming into your land to take the potatoes or whatever it is you're growing, because they're hungry and they're gatherers. And you're saying this is my land, but they don't respect that because they don't believe land is property. And so they come to take the potatoes, and now you have to fight them off or you starve. And so there's a basis for propping up these parasitic wannabe dictators, and all of a sudden class structures. Before we even had an economy, we had a class structure, and it's always the fucking parasites that end up on top rather than the people who are helping each other.
But the thing is that, and this is kind of the theme of all of this, and it's kind of the theme of humanity, which is this: it's easy to see the negative aspects that you just pointed out, Ember. But at the same time, though, if it wasn't for agriculture, for the construction of the first nation state, which of course is Egypt, which is why I say it first, and the first city states in Mesopotamia, we wouldn't we wouldn't have the technological advancement that we have today. We wouldn't have the medical knowledge and because when we settle in these cities, and that enables and even forces us to become specialized in certain areas. It facilitates specialization, and without specialized professions, we wouldn't have computer scientists making it possible for us to sit here and speak from completely different
doubt.
sides of
Yeah.
the globe.
I've
And
said as much myself a gazillion
yeah.
times. That all of it, everything else we've ever done, is founded on agriculture. We couldn't have anything else if we didn't have control of our food supply. And that's why we're doing
Exactly.
an episode on agriculture today, because
Yeah.
that's the basis of everything. I mean, it's true. You need a universe first. You need evolution first. But once you have humans to get civilization, you need agriculture. You're only going to get so far as a hunter-gatherer, like cave paintings and shit.
I would have loved to have EQ's input on all of this. I don't know if she's still in chat or if she
Me
left.
too. Yeah, me too. That would have been awesome. We still got a bit though.
Yeah, I mean, if she is still about, I know she said something. People have said that she said she wasn't feeling good earlier.
Yeah.
But if she's still about, she can pipe up. I don't catch every chat, but with more of us on screen, sometimes I'll see them. I do see that Lil has changed outfits. Now, I don't have the link handy for the hoodie, because hoodies are awesome, but I do have the one for the t-shirt, which is as low as they would let me make it. And there's other goodies like that available on the Ember store. Probably underneath this video, but definitely on the website, betterthanember.com. We got lots of goodies over there, and lots of other ways you can support the show too. I understand the shirts and such are very comfy and very fun, but I can't actually afford them myself. I am very poor.
This one's absolutely perfect. It's not too warm, but it's definitely enough to keep you warm when you're chilled. Because it's like, of course, I live in Texas, so it doesn't get that cold down here. And I had to rescue it from Pixie, who was about to use it as a pillow. So.
I used to use hoodies as pillows too, especially when I was traveling. So for those of you who don't know, I was homeless for 8 years. Sometimes I had a car I could sleep in, but not always. And often, you can find softer patches of ground than others, but a hoodie makes a pretty decent pillow. Should you ever need that information.
Oh, yeah, they do. There's a reason why anytime I am stuck on a road trip anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's the middle of summer, I will bring a hoodie. Worst grade is a pillow.
Or a blanket. It's a small blanket. But I've noticed that if you can cover your core, having cold legs is unpleasant, but you can still sleep. But if you cover your legs and your core is cold, then you'll just shiver all night and be not rested.
See, this is the weird thing about me, though. I have to be cold in order to go to sleep. Like, if I'm even the slightest bit toasty, not happening. Can't sleep. I have to be cold. I'm weird.
Very peculiar.
You should move here.
I don't know if I can handle it that cold, though. I think the coldest I've ever been in was negative 20 with a wind chill of negative 40, and that was one night.
Are you talking about where I live?
No, it was in Bloomington, Indiana, and it was when one of the polar vortexes came through. It was in the negatives for a couple days, but one night it got down to negative 20 with a wind chill of negative 40. I let my dogs out to go to the bathroom. They ran out, they went, and they were back in 13 seconds. It was that fast. I was like, holy crap. I'm like, it can't be that cold. So I made the stupid decision to walk out my front door wearing a tank top and shorts. Yeah, it was cold. I decided I would never do that again. And this was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, we had a similar thing. The first time we had a real polar vortex, not like, oh, it's an extra cold front, but like actual polar air, was in 2003, 2004, something like that. And it was -40 for 8 days straight. Like city water lines started freezing and shit. It was wild. But the first day, the meteorologists were like, we cannot stress this enough. It doesn't matter how many layers you have on. Don't be outside. If you must go to work, go directly into the building as fast as you can. You will freeze to death in minutes. And
unless
I was like,
you have
oh,
stuff that's like
bad. I've been through so many winters. It was that bad. It was really bad.
The thing is like, I love the summers up there because up there it never got above 100. Like, I think the highest I ever got was like 98, which down here we'll get 110. So I'm just like, oh, this is so nice. But then the winters were so much colder than I was used to that I was just like, I never got used to the winters. And I got over liking snow real quick. It took me about 2 days, and then I'm just like, get rid of the snow. I hate this stuff.
Snow is the best. Imagine winter without snow. It's just dark, brown,
Welcome to my life.
mud, slippery, and you're probably going to die if you just open the door.
Well, you're not supposed to let the polar bears in, Deviant.
But they look so fussy.
They do look cuddly, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, it's 41 degrees here, and in the next couple of days, the high is supposed to be like 70. That's winter here. So, this is about the coldest it gets. We might get snow 2 or 3 times a year, but it's mainly just like a dusting usually. Not even enough to build a snowman or anything. And we might have really cold weather, and I'm talking like in the teens for maybe a week, if that. But that's it. Our summers are brutal. Oh my god, I hate the summers here. I like the winters, not so much the summers.
It's pluses and minuses. I'm actually really sad about the way politics has been changing in the U.S. because after I started traveling, like as a truck driver, for example, I went to a lot of places, and some places I only passed through, but other places I ended up waiting a day or two to get into a dock and unload. And so I'd see a little bit of the local area. And Tennessee was very nice. In January, the temperatures were like they were in May where I live, where I grew up. I'm like, this is quite doable. Like, you could end up with the occasional snowfall in the Smoky Mountains and shit, but you could also go to Memphis, where it's basically tropical all year. I mean, they think of it as cold in winter, but for me, it's tropical. And you had the whole range in between. Nashville was just nice. Murfreesboro, the people were so nice. They were just all, hello, how are you? It's wonderful that, oh, you talk, I can't tell where you're from. Are you from Texas? Are you from New Hampshire? Do you talk funny? That sort of thing. Wonderful people. But now, if you're not wearing a red hat, you need to be burned at the stake immediately. Now, of course, it's not everyone in Tennessee, but it's enough that I don't want to go. So it's a damn shame because the climate is very nice. The people were very nice. They have cool shit there too. I you know what? I'm tangenting. I mean, what else do we do, right? But like,
hey,
they have pyramids and Parthenons and all kinds of things.
I'm just here for the tangents.
People come here for the tangents. It's true.
I mean, one thing, like, speaking about the weather, one thing that really intrigues me is if you look back at like the history of human spirituality and stuff, when we actually started like naming gods and goddesses and stuff, a lot of them were based on agriculture, a lot of them were based on weather. It was all those natural forces that, okay, so I might not starve to death in the next week because I've been able to put this food back, but if this harvest fails, I am screwed come winter. And it's just it's super interesting that you can see these gods that, like, for instance, Yahweh was a storm deity, and like I think it was Esoterica that put this out there, Justin Sledge, that was probably from the really, really bad thunderstorms that caused like Petra to have flash floods and stuff. And yeah, like those are the kind of deities that you will worship and you would fear, because if they got mad and like wrecked your weather, like you weren't going to eat for the next year. Or you were going to have a really hard time. Yeah.
Ideas of offering sacrifices to appease the gods so they'll give you a better harvest. Or if a cataclysm happens, like, you know, a big old tidal wave washes away your fishing boat, you must have pissed off the gods, or your whole people, maybe the king pissed off the gods. Oh no, we better burn him and replace him with a theologue or something. So yeah, you get a lot of that stuff. And when your people are completely screwed, like the whole climate fails that year, big drought, everybody's starving, well, now you've got war gods. Oh, praise the mighty war god. Let's go take the other people's food, you know?
Yeah, like that's something that we see in the history of Egypt, where in periods of time, because they of course they have a humongous pantheon. I mean, we're talking maybe I've heard numbers of anything between 1,300 to 3,000 gods, and it's a bit difficult to count them. Also, it doesn't matter.
The Hindu pantheon, yes.
Huh?
An exact number for the Hindu pantheon is impossible to describe, but it's estimated to be between 3 and 10 million individual deities.
Holy crap.
That's why it's impossible. Now, a lot of them are just forms or facets of other greater deities, but still, that's a lot to keep track of. And that raises an interesting question, anthropologically speaking, which I realize has nothing to do with ecology, but many early cultures were inclusive religiously. If somebody showed up talking about a new god they hadn't heard of, they'd be like, oh, sure, whatever's good for you. Maybe it's like Odin's brother, or, you know, Zeus's stepson, or whatever the fuck. Like, they just include them. They just roll them into the sum of total known human beliefs. But then something changed, and people started saying, no, you're wrong. My mythology is objectively correct, and yours is demons and false gods, and you have to be killed. And I mean, I'm very curious what changed, why. And I will bet a nickel it had something to do with agriculture.
I mean, so what I wouldn't say it has with agriculture to do, because of the fact that we already had agriculture for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before we see monotheism become a thing. It's more a matter of, as it was with all these pantheons, in each, again, I'm going back to Egypt because that's what I know best. So you have a whole bunch of gods, and there are stories that tie them together in a pantheon. But each like city, each village, the gods are thought to live in certain spaces, like physical spaces, and they have depending on where the ruler comes from, that god is going to take precedence above the other gods. At the same time, there is also a hierarchical structure within the pantheon, where you have, like in Egypt, you have Amun, that's the king of the gods, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is the most important god. He is in certain, the king of the gods, Amun, is the most important god in periods of time where we see that the pharaoh is the kingship is as it has its peak of power. Then you see periods of time where there is a lot of war, where like in the intermediate periods, where society sort of breaks down, and there are often invasions, and Egypt is no longer under the rule of one king. And you see the rise of war gods like Montu rising in power in the same time span that the invaders are being kicked out. So it's more that when we see monotheism, it's more kicking out the other gods and
because it's a reflection of
doing
culture.
Exactly, it's a reflection of culture, where if
the gods justify
instance,
whatever the people are doing at the time.
Yeah, and the fact that when you have multiple gods, you also have multiple priesthoods. And in Egypt, there are periods of time where the priesthood becomes so powerful, they own so much land and resources, that they become a real threat to the power of the pharaoh. We even have a period it's during the New Kingdom. I believe it's the 21st dynasty. So around the time of the Bronze Age collapse, it's at the end of the New Kingdom era, where the priests becomes the ruling class.
Ruh-roh.
Because of all the power they have.
Or the change of a lot of empires. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
scholars have gone back and forth for centuries about what single thing most contributed to the admittedly complicated fall of the Roman Empire. But it's indisputable that one big factor was the church became really powerful. And an easy way to ensure their own power was to break the power of the state into little tiny pieces, such that the new rulers of the smaller territories need the church's blessing to secure their own crowns.
Exactly. And how, so when Akhenaten comes to power, though he doesn't come to power as Akhenaten, he comes to power as Amenhotep the Fourth, or Amenhotep. He comes to power in a period of time where the priesthood of Amun in Thebes has become extremely powerful, and actually poses as a threat of sorts, meaning the king is so dependent on the priests of the Karnak temple, the priests of Amun, and when Amenhotep III's son comes to power, we don't know for certain exactly what's happening in his head and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But when we put everything together, there is a good case to be made that by kicking out all of the other gods and saying those gods can go fuck themselves, you are no longer to worship them. That's
That would probably be a good way to prove the other ones do not exist, because if you said that and they actually did exist, they would probably smite you right then and there.
yes.
I mean, in Athens, it's Athena's city, right? So you can talk shit about Poseidon all you want. He can't do much because it's Athena's city. It just proves the might of Athena, not that Poseidon doesn't exist.
Yeah.
For example.
I mean,
what's interesting is that it's not, we often speak about it as this is, that Athenism is the first monotheism, but it's not. It's more, what's the word? Henotheism?
Hedino? Hypatia was just mentioning it in the side chat.
Oh, yeah.
Where is it? Henotheistic.
Yes, henotheistic. So
yeah.
There are other existing gods, but there is only one God that's actually worth worship, basically. And that is a very good way to consolidate power surrounding the pharaoh.
Yeah.
Especially since what Akhenaten does is he says, I am the only one that Aten is my God. Basically, in my words, Aten is my God. He communicates through me, and he bestows his gifts upon me, and I bestow my gifts upon you. And he actually did this. So each day in Akhetaten, the city that he built, he used to have processions where he bestowed gold upon the people who came to watch him. So they worshipped him, he worshipped Aten, and all the other gods could go, as I said, fuck themselves. But the
I wish I had
only
enough
God,
to bestow gold on my worshippers.
right?
I'd get a lot more worshippers that way.
Oh yeah. I mean, a good
only,
parallel.
the only God that he tried to erase was Amun. And the priests of Amun were being persecuted. There was taken a specific, what's the word? There was an effort made to erase the worship of Amun. Obviously, it didn't work, but it's the first like historical and archaeological account of actual religious persecution. But it's only towards Amun, not all of the other gods.
Yeah. I mean, a good parallel to that is, like, even if you look in the Bible, there's the super famous story about the Israelites fighting a battle against, I think it was Moab. And then the king of Moab, like, sacrifices a son or something to Hemash, who's there, and basically drives everybody away because Yahweh didn't have the home turf. And so it's like, it's the same thing as in they worship one God and one God only, but other gods still exist. And then that changed to our God's the only God. And what I've seen on that, one of the big things about it is like it seems to be almost all the time when they switch from being polytheistic to either all the way to monotheistic or the like kind of in between one, that I cannot remember the name to save my life right now. Like it's almost always politically driven. It's the people in charge saying, no, you're going to worship this God.
Yeah.
And do it our way. But yeah, it's just religion is a really weird concept when you think about it. Like it's really bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can understand how like I can understand how ancient peoples thought this, but they also used to think Zeus caused lightning. We now know what causes lightning. You think people would apply the same reasoning?
Some people thought Zeus caused lightning. Obviously, people who weren't Greeks had different ideas, and that's sort of a thing. Like, not even all the Greeks thought that. It was just a combination of unintelligent superstitions, philosophers playing on the ridiculousness of the theistic claim of, well, you can't prove it isn't. Like, that was a big part of how philosophers in ancient Greece did their thing, was by taking something ridiculously absurd and showing it to you and saying, does this actually make sense to you? You know?
Yeah.
Behold, a man, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot to that. But on the flip side, it's sort of like the people who say that 500 years ago everyone thought the Earth was flat. No, that's not true. In fact, that's never been true. Eratosthenes calculated a diameter for the Earth, a circumference for the Earth that was pretty damn close. But that isn't what proved the Earth was round. We had sailors for thousands of years before him that knew damn well it wasn't a pancake, you know? It's only superstitious and uneducated people who tend to think these ridiculous things, not everyone. Now, there are periods where the superstitious and uneducated people, because those two things do go hand in hand, somehow got their hands on political power and tended to tear down their civilizations because they're superstitious and uneducated. And so they ignorantly did things that were harmful to themselves and their own offspring, thinking they were pleasing some mythological being or other.
Mm-hmm.
But some leaders harnessed that. Some leaders chose to keep their people superstitious, to lean into these traditions and harness them to maximize their control. In a way, it's sort of like all these religions that keep talking about being a fisher of men or a grower of faith or whatever. They're talking about all these different farming and agricultural practices being applied to humans because they're doing the same thing, where the first civilizations were about gaining control of the land and your own food supply, a secure food supply. Religions very quickly became the same sort of tool for gaining control of the people and growing specific flavors of followers. Do we want more warlike zealots, or do we want more passive people who will just tend the damn farms and not ask questions, you know? So there's a sort of agriculture to the way religions were directed before religions became so big for their britches that it became a lot harder to steer the ship, I suppose you might say. It's an interesting topic. Granted, it's a very different topic, but I mean, we've deviated off the topic. We brought Deviant on and we deviated. You see how this works?
I take full responsibility.
I am just here for the tangents.
Yeah. But like, we didn't get into as much ecology as I'd originally planned to, because the point of this episode was to highlight how agriculture not only made civilization possible, but on the flip side, our diminishment of biodiversity threatens civilization now. And that's why the study of ecology is so important. But in some ways, they are interrelated. Everything is interrelated. And this is ultimately one of the big accomplishments that the secular world has yet to make, is understanding that all the sciences are interrelated. There's that old saying about how, to some people, every hammer, or every to a guy with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. I can speak English, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar sort of thing with sciences. Like, if you're an ecologist, every problem looks like a biodiversity issue. Or if you're an engineer, every problem looks like insufficient foundation material, or whatever the case may be. But they're all interrelated. I've mentioned before, just as one example, that physicists and arborealists don't talk to each other because they think they're practicing different disciplines. And so for over 100 years, physicists have been trying to figure out if it were possible, thinking it's not possible, but always testing the science to find out, to generate negative air pressure, not zero air pressure, but negative air pressure, to have more vacuum than the vacuum of space.
Oh, they should have looked my brain up.
According to standard physics, it's theoretically possible, but not something you can practically do. It's not a thing you can really achieve in the real universe. Meanwhile, arborealists have known for over 100 years that trees can produce negative pressure, up to 14 atmospheres of negative pressure below vacuum in some of them, like giant sequoias, where they have to suck water up a long fucking way. Physicists are like, can it be done? We don't know. Probably not, but the math looks neat. And for 100 years, the tree scientists have just known it. They could have just asked. They could have just talked to each other, because everything is interconnected.
That's why the multidisciplinary sciences are the best. And I'm not saying that because what I deal with is 100% multidisciplinary. I say it because it's true. And I know Lil, also being in the multidisciplinary space, knows this is true. Ember is a polymath. She obviously understands this is true.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
One of my favorite things about this series, and remember, folks, we're doing Atheist Advent this month. Every day is a different topic of secular accomplishment. I'm learning a ton myself. And so do join us. I'm having so much fun. Maybe we'll make, I don't know how I'm going to do it specifically going forward, but I'm really liking this exploration of sciences that we've been doing so far this month. And it seems like you folks are enjoying it more too. And so I want to figure out a way to keep doing it. I don't know, maybe we'll get into more esoteric sciences as we go along, or maybe we'll look at more ways the sciences interrelate instead of focusing on individual ones. But I definitely want to, I mean, I've always been explicitly pro-science, but this seems to be a way to explore the science, not just communicate it, but interact with it, that we haven't been able to achieve before. And I'm really loving that. If you are too, remember to subscribe. Join us every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Sometimes we're slightly early. Ring the notification bell. And thanks to everybody for being here. It's lovely seeing you all, seeing all the comments. Yes, I know I don't get to every comment. My apologies, Equus. I didn't see you, but we love having you here.
Even though Beer Talamas should really check themselves, because that's not a nice thing. Ember has the best hats, and it does not look like Hoven shirt. This is a Hoven free zone, okay?
Unless we're making fun of them.
It says, how dare you insult Ember's lovely hat? I mean, My stars and garters. Where's my pearls? I need to clutch my pearls. Okay. Theo says, but give Lord Sandwich some credit, Ember. It's true. It's true. That sandwich clip that we made from The Last Job in Jugs, people seem to like that. It's pretty great. Alrighty. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to people who sent super chats. We've got 3 today. Jester sent $5 saying, what? Are we canceling the annual cannibal orgy? Come on. This is the 13,869,420th time in a row. We have a reputation to uphold. Jester sent another $2 saying the spirit of Advent, sure, goes forth, which is true and punderful. And Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, sent $5 saying, so when I don't come, there's a party. I see how it is. Which is fair. But, Kelly will be joining us again soon. That's why she gets her own emoji, too.
You got to have the harlot and the diva on, so.
It's true.
That's true.
To the lovely shirt model of the day, our private harlot. And, and of course, the diva of Egypt, Deviant Outcast. It's lovely to see both of you. Do remember, there's a bunch of people who may pop in on this show at any given time if they want to. Some are rarer than others, like Pokemon. You got to catch them all.
Amber, you need to read
a T-shirt saying "Damn it, Soot."
Yes.
That's fair. All right. One more thing. Remember, we're doing a bonus show later today. It's by popular demand. It's an AMA. Almost A. I have questions already. The show's all set to go. The time may move, so make sure you've rung the bell, and also like and share, do the other things. But also, you can add questions. You can submit questions. The easiest way is on the Discord. The link for that is on the website, which you should already know because the website is full of super useful resources. So hooray. But yeah, you can send questions through the community Discord. And we hope to see you there. And we definitely hope to see you tomorrow for Feminist Friday, Atheist Advent Edition, Gender Studies. We're not going to burn our bras. Bras are expensive, folks. I hate to tell you, but it will be lit. So join us for that. And as always, remember, you don't have to praise some random god or another to get a good harvest because you are better than religion. Toodles. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for November. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Godless Engineer, Jester, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, The Mighty Filbert, and Secular Phalanist. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember, or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you all so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.